6:06 here on AM 680 WRKO and now on 93.7 HD2. Welcome to the Kuhner Report. Good morning, Boston. 617-266-6868. If you want to be part of the show, you can also text us at 680-680. My friends, a lot to talk about today, but without question, the latest piece by Pat Buchanan, his latest column, has everybody talking. It's on the top fold of the Drudge Report. And Pat is a friend of mine. We were friends for many years. We email each other quite often. Used to be a big admirer of my work when I was writing my column for the Washington Times. I agree with him on many issues, not on every issue, but he and I are ideologically simpatico. Let's just put it this way. But I got to tell you, his latest column, America No Longer One Nation, One People. At the top of the Drudge fold, America may break up. I think he has hit the nail on the head. It's, I think, one of his best pieces. It's a profound piece. It's a surgical piece. And he gets, I believe, to the nub, to the very heart of the issue that is now confronting this nation and this country with the immigration crisis. As Buchanan lays it out in his piece, in 2001, George W. Bush, open borders Republican, backed by the Chamber of Commerce, a former governor, a border governor of Texas, spoke to the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And part of Karl Rove's strategy to attract all of these supposed growing Hispanic bloc of voters publicly and openly declared that as a friend of Mexico, as a good neighbor, as someone who respects Mexico and the Mexican people, he wanted to tear down all of the barriers and all of the walls that might separate Mexico from the United States. And so beginning at that point in 2001, George W. Bush, in alliance with the corporatist class of Republicans, the Beltway Republicans, along with John McCain, in alliance with Democrats, the ruling class came together, whether it be Hillary Clinton, Ted Kennedy, then U.S. Senator Barack Hussein Obama. All of them came together finally in 2007 and backed amnesty for the 12 million people who had entered the United States illegally. And in those intervening 6 years, the people of Mexico and Latin America, now hearing that amnesty was on the table, now seeing that America had essentially opened up her borders completely, basically put up a bienvenido sign, come on down, they came by the millions, exploiting Bush's magnanimity and his generosity. And the floodgates were unleashed. And the American people, this had been going on since the 1990s, but now it really started to crest in the 2000s under Bush, Obama, Kennedy, McCain, and Hillary Clinton, under the ruling class, both Republicans and Democrats. The American people woke up and said, we're losing our country. What is a nation except if it's defined by its borders, as Ronald Reagan once put it? We no longer defend our borders. We are no longer even defined by our borders because according now to the ruling class in Washington, according to the ruling class that runs this country and running us into the ground, everybody is now an American. Everybody around the world. And so the American people, seeing the consequences of immigration, seeing it in their schools, seeing it in their hospitals, seeing it on the swelling welfare rolls, seeing it with declining wages, seeing it with jobs being stolen from either legitimate immigrants, legal immigrants, or American citizens, they said a thundering no. Yet. And Congress had to back down, and amnesty was killed. For the moment. But now they're back. Now the dear leader for the last couple of years, in alliance with the very same establishment, big business, corporatist Republicans, the very same John McCain's, the very same Jeb Bush's, the very same Lindsey Graham's, now they're calling again for amnesty. And the country is now witnessing an unprecedented, massive invasion now of children, including teenagers. Now we're finding out many of them 18, 19, 20, so-called children, 35, 40-year-olds now sitting in classes in the 9th grade in Lynn. Now they're pouring across the border, being dumped across the border. 60,000 have come this year alone, and there is no end in sight. Diseases are coming in. Tuberculosis, chickenpox, scabies, children with lice. And I don't mean one or two, thousands of them with lice. Now there's even concerns about the swine flu, for God's sakes. Now we're finding out that the Mexican drug cartels have been recruiting many of these so-called teenagers and toughs and telling them, you work for us. Criminals are coming in. Gangbangers are coming in. They have even now found, according to the Blaze, hat tip to them, they have even found prayer rugs, Qurans, and dictionaries, Urdu English dictionaries. Urdu is the language spoken in Pakistan and in Afghanistan. Potential terrorists have now been crossing our border over the last 6 months. Documented. And still, the dear leader wants amnesty. And still, the Republicans in Washington want amnesty. In fact, Obama now wants $3.7 billion to be spent to take care of these so-called children. At a time of historic deficits. At a time of massive unemployment. And so Buchanan gets to the heart of the issue. If you are no longer able to defend your borders, if you're no longer even willing to define your borders, if you are now willing to allow anyone to come in from any country, any continent, how are you in any way, shape, or form really one nation? How are you one people? He cites very powerfully in his column, he cites John Jay, who was one of the, along with Madison and Alexander Hamilton, wrote the Federalist Papers, which talks about the Constitution. That was a key document that helped to ratify the Constitution of the United States. It's considered one of the best commentaries on the Constitution ever. And the reason why it has so much power and so much influence is because you have the commentaries of our founding fathers on what the Constitution really was supposed to mean and entail. Here is what John Jay wrote in Federalist number 2. Quote, Providence has been pleased to give this one connected country to one united people. A people descended from the same ancestors, speaking the same language, professing the same religion, attached to the same principles of government, very similar in their manners and customs. In that very same Federalist number 2, John Jay calls Americans, according to Buchanan, he's dead on, a, quote, band of brethren, united to each other by the strongest ties. What made this country the greatest country in the history of the world was never our so-called diversity. It was never this fiction, this fantasy of multiculturalism, of every group being identified against other groups, but rather the exact opposite. This is what our founding fathers warned us of. what they cherished about the American founding, about our republic, that our greatest strength was our unity, that we shared a common language, that we share a common history, that we share a common culture, that we share common holidays, heroes, traditions, and that this binds us together as Americans. Yes, we come from different countries and different backgrounds, but when you come to America, you become an American. In every way, shape, and form. And so Buchanan talks about the massive waves of immigration, where the Germans began to pour in the 19th century, and then the Irish, and then the Italians, and then the Poles, and then the Jews. And through our strong then public school system, through the melting pot, through the process of Americanization, we became literally the strongest, mightiest, freest country in the history of the world. And so by 1960, when John F. Kennedy was elected president, we bestrode the world like a colossus. The only thing left to be done was to grant civil rights to African Americans, to give them the promise of America. And that was coming. And so by the time of 1965, even that promise had finally been fulfilled, where now African Americans can enjoy more prosperity and more freedom, blacks could in this country, than anywhere else in the world. And then we did something very tragic. Beginning in the 1960s and increasing up to today, culminating today, we jettisoned, we overthrew the American melting pot. We overthrew a model that created the greatest republic in the history of the world in favor of an experiment, where now we're defined by our different ethnicities, by our different race. We now have multilingualism. We now have multiculturalism. We are now being, as Buchanan puts it, balkanized into different groups. We no longer share one nation. We no longer have one language. We no longer have one culture. Christianity is declining. Islam is surging. The family is breaking up. Children now no longer have two-parent homes. We no longer have the same heroes. In fact, Christopher Columbus is reviled. Our Constitution is reviled. Our history is reviled. It is now taught in our schools the very opposite of what used to be taught 50 or 100 years ago. That we are a nation founded upon slavery and genocide and the confiscation of other people's land, including allegedly the Southwest from Mexico. And so by bringing in all of these people, many of whom speak Spanish or some Indian dialect, many of whom come here trampling upon our sovereignty, walking right on in, disrespecting our borders. The question has to be asked, how are we still one nation and one people? If we now talk about multiculturalism and multiple languages and multiple cultures, everyone having a different history and a different tradition, what is going to hold us together? Because if you look at the rest of the world, and this is Buchanan's ultimate point, and he nailed it, he's completely right. Countries all over the world are being destroyed by race and by tribalism and by ethnicity. This experiment in multiculturalism has failed everywhere around the world. And now we want to do this here in America? The greatest country to have ever existed on the face of the earth? We're to throw it all away? My friends, this is now a wake-up call. We are losing our country. And if the liberals want to call it racist, they can call it racist, because in the end, I believe this is an act of madness. This is an act of national suicide. America for Americans. And it is about time that we put America first, secure our borders, and start deporting every single one of these illegal immigrants. Because, my friends, I'm telling you, Buchanan is 110% right. If we do not stem this tide, America, in the end, like every other country around the world, will break up. Now, you think I'm exaggerating? You're already seeing the future here. I played it yesterday, and I want to play it again. When you bring in this many people, it's now about 20 million over the last 25 years, 60,000 just in the last couple months, these kids. What do you think starts happening? You have groups separating from one another. You have people saying, hey, how come these illegals are getting all the money and all the attention and all the resources, and we're not? In the south side of Chicago, in Obama's own turf, in his own backyard, African Americans, seeing shooting after shooting, murder after murder after murder, went out to protest and said, my God, you want to give $3.7 billion to illegals? To absolute strangers? When we're dropping like flies here in the south side of Chicago? Mr. President, what about us? What about African Americans? What about blacks? Forget the 3.7 million for the illegals. We need cops on the street. We need better schools. We need to improve our city. We're dying here. You're getting a taste, just a taste, of the potential balkanization and breakup of America into separate groups. Here is the African American activists protesting in front of a police department in the south side of Chicago. Roll it, Brittany.
He's going to go down as being one of the worst presidents ever. Today, if you look at the time that we were brought here as slaves 400 years ago, we got the same results today.
We look like we live in Beirut somewhere. Ambulance, fire department, police running up and down the street, all around our community.
Oh, my block is always dark. Dark. Even on Sunday day. I can't go outside and play. On my block.
On my block.
On my block.
On my block.
Do something for our children. Have the same love for these young people like you got for the ones across the border, and you want to save them.
President Barack needs to pay attention to Chicago. If he cannot pay attention to Chicago and the African American community, he needs to resign.
Here we got a mayor in our city and our president of the United States who have passed legislation and have given up funding to create opportunities for new citizens to come into the United States, ignoring people who've been born and raised here.
With the president setting aside all of these funds for immigrants and forsaking African American community and African American families, I think that's a disgrace. And Barack is from the heart of 55th in the city of Chicago. He saw this as a state senator, and he did not pay attention then.
Mr. President, we're asking for you. You're spending billions of dollars in Texas, but we got a problem here in Chicago. We will not stand by this here and keep letting this senseless killing and shooting happening in our community.
Again, as I say, he will probably go down as the worst president ever elected. Bill Clinton was the African American president.
That's the future. That's the future. You're playing with fire. And you're going to start seeing different groups. It's not just going to be blacks. It's going to be whites. It's going to be Latinos. It's going to be Asians. It's going to, you name it. Where everybody's going to start rushing at each other's throats because of this massive influx of illegal immigration, where we're now going to be balkanizing one another, pitting one group against one another. Did Yugoslavia not teach us anything? Did the Soviet Union not teach us anything? Has Africa not taught us anything? My friends, if we are not one nation and one people, I am telling you right now, we will all go down. 617-266-6868. No truer words were ever spoken. My question to you is this. Do you think America is still one nation and one people? Or do you believe, like Pat Buchanan, that this massive invasion of unlimited immigration, illegal immigration, threatens to break up America? 617-266-6868. The lines are blazing. Jeff, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, we're done. And he's doing it perfectly. He's taking advantage of the political correctness, the malaise, and the ignorance. And he's throwing in Obamacare. He's throwing in the illegal immigrants. And this is how he does it. It's one big vote buy. That's all it is. Get me people dependent, force them into it through Obamacare. Whatever you have to do, make them vote for you. That's all he's doing. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Gary, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Go ahead, Gary.
Good morning, Jeff. This is Gary from Saugus. Please do not confuse me with that wimpy Gary from Florida that needs the Previa because his hair's falling out, because there are no men left in this country that have any testosterone to stand up to what's going on out there today. Pat Buchanan has it right on the money, Jeff. The indoctrination in this country is beyond belief. I texted you Friday about that school in Chelsea with the play.
Yes.
I did some more investigation. I talked to the actual mother the other day, Jeff. You have no clue what's going on, Jeff. I'm sick.
Now, Gary, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but just for everybody out there in case they missed it, that's a play in Chelsea which was done completely in Spanish. And one of your friends is, I think it was a daughter, right? She was 7 years of age or 6 years of age?
She plays with my daughter. Yes.
She plays with your daughter, and she was in the play. She had to do the whole thing in Spanish, and she had no idea what she was saying.
Correct. And what's going on is there's a bilingual play group, theater company in Chelsea, and what they're doing is they're indoctrinating all of these children, Jeff, to think that this invasion is okay. So these young children, they already think it's okay. And the name of the play, Jeff, was called The Invasion.
Are you serious?
I'm totally serious, Jeff. That's why no one understands what's going on the street level in the schools. They've already indoctrinated the entire town of Chelsea. Every kid in the school thinks it's okay. And there's a white judge, and the girls are crossing the border, and the judge is telling the girls they can't come here, and the girls are, why can't we come here, judge? Why can't we come here? It's beyond belief, Jeff. So my only question is, this country is so far gone. You're like the modern-day Paul Revere to me, Jeff. When this show came on the air almost 2 years ago now, it's like you drove by my house and you said, the British are not coming, Gary. The government is coming. The government is coming. So what are we going to do, Jeff? When are we going to rise up, Jeff? We have no choice at this point. When they put us in the boxcars, is that when we're going to do it? I just don't understand it. Where are the men? I'm outside waiting every day for this to happen, and no one is with me. That's all I have to say,
Thank you. Well, thank you for that call, Gary. Look, we're going to see what's going to happen. From what I'm sensing looking at the opinion polls, this thing has boomeranged against the dear leader. Paul Ryan has now come out and said immigration and amnesty this year is dead. So the more they come in, the more America is revolting. I think they've overextended themselves. I think they blew it. They tried to ram it down our throats, and now America is saying enough is enough. 617-266-6868. My friends, it's time to take our country back. Let's take it to Angela Anderson in the newsroom. 6:39 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. Buchanan has an absolutely devastating column. Everybody's talking about it. It's gone viral, whereby he's talking about the current influx of the supposed children, the unaccompanied minors, even though many of them are teenagers and gangbangers, but let that go. Buchanan says that when you look at everything that's happening over the last 20, 25 years to this country, massive unlimited immigration, multilingualism, multiculturalism, the breakdown of the family, the decline in Christianity, the fact that now many of our heroes like Christopher Columbus are reviled. The Constitution is no longer taught or reviled in our schools. That if you look at what's being done systematically, we are no longer one nation, one people. And this could potentially lead the way to the breakup of the United States as people balkanize and separate into separate groups. Here is Pat Buchanan saying, you know what? The country has had it with liberalism. Roll it, Brittany.
Look, the country has had it with the liberal Democrats. Liberalism's not working. Obama is not a successful president. He's the LBJ of his era. And if you have a candidate who can unite the GOP and say, look, you all know what's happening is not good for America, we need a change, and we're the ones that offer the change.
I'm with them. We're it. This is it. We are the alternative. We are America. And what I find despicable about the liberals is now knowing that the country's falling apart, knowing that they've broken the back of this country economically, culturally, politically, now they say, oh, the phrase taking back our country, suddenly that's a racist phrase. Suddenly, oh, you just don't like the fact that he's black. No, we don't like the fact that he's destroying the country. When we say take our country back, you know what that means? That means restoring our constitutional republic. That's it. That's what we mean. We want the old, great America. The America that was the envy of the world. We don't want your third world America. 617-266-6868. Hey, if you love the third world so much, you love Mexico so much, go live in Mexico. 617-266-6868 is the number. Dan, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Jeff, good morning.
Hey, Dan.
I have always been a huge admirer of Pat Buchanan, and again, like you said, he nailed it. My father once told me that if you cannot face a problem, you cannot fix a problem. If Americans wake up to this fact, as I believe they are, I think we can save this. But one question, a hypothetical I had for you, or a situational question. You just played a cut of a bunch of a group of black activists in Chicago who obviously have some animosity for the president. Now, one of the arguments that has been made against impeachment is the issue of having racial
division animosity
that would erupt because of it. Do you think this could possibly negate that?
Dan, I got to tell you, his support is crumbling. I'm telling this. What's happening now is, yes, we're being invaded, but we are witnessing the implosion of this entire regime. Because now you have, look, Dan, I'll just give you an example, okay? True life example. Yesterday was about 11:30 in the morning. I had finished the show. I have to do some commercials and stuff. They have me do recordings in the studio. It's 11:30. I'm done. I'm at the elevator right here at WRKO. There's a liberal who works for our sister station down. He's an uber liberal, ultra liberal, voted for Obama twice. A chubby guy, comes running up to me and says, "Is he insane?" I said, "What do you mean?" "What the hell is he doing with all these illegal immigrants coming in?" He goes, "You don't understand. All my liberal friends are saying, what the hell is wrong with this guy? These are people coming in with diseases. They're bankrupting our schools. They're bankrupting our healthcare clinics. There's criminals. There could even be terrorists. Does he have any idea what he's doing?" He goes, "Jeff, I don't know how to tell you this. I don't want to sound like this is a big bad thing for him." He goes, "I don't want to sound like a Tea Party guy, but I think he's crazy." So when you have liberals telling me that they think this guy is crazy, he's in big, big, big trouble. And it's only going to get worse until November. Their only play left is to steal the election in November. That's their only play. But if they try it, then I believe it's going to backfire, because unlike 2012, which was a close race, this one they're expected to lose, and everybody knows they're going to lose big. So if they steal it, it's going to be like in Ukraine. You're going to see, it's like the Maidan movement. You're going to see people coming out in the streets protesting fraudulent elections like they do in banana republics. And then he's going to be in real trouble. So either he's going to have to accede to the people, or he's going to face massive street protests. Either way, it's not going to end up well for the dear leader.
If I can ask you one more hypothetical question.
Sure.
We had, at the end of the Clinton administration, we saw Bill Clinton sign a number of executive orders that created huge problems down the line. We already know that President Obama likes, and he's broadcast, I have a pen and I have a telephone. As he continues to spiral downward, what concerns me is that at some point when he feels he has nothing left to lose, what type of executive orders will he be signing?
Well, I'll tell you right now, one that he's already contemplating is he wants to sign an executive order that would prevent the deportation of 5 to 6 million illegal immigrant adults. Basically a DREAM Act, but not for the children of illegal immigrants, but for actual illegal immigrants. And he wants to keep them in the country because he wants them to vote. Now, that's blatantly illegal. That is so illegal, you have no idea how illegal that is. So that's why I keep returning to this. It's time to elect real, principled conservatives who are willing to impeach this president. If you keep breaking the law, impeach. And go to the American people and say, look, I'm sorry, what do you want me to do? He wants now illegal immigration by executive fiat. Are we a nation of laws? Yes or no? And if we make that case, Obama will lose. Here's what I'm trying to tell everybody. You know what's kept the dear leader in power for so long? Is that most Americans, even American liberals, Democrats, they cannot believe that a man in the White House would want to destroy this country. They don't believe it. They can't fathom it. It's like out of a Hollywood movie. But now they're waking up. It's the Taliban 5. It's Obamacare. It's the lies about Obamacare. It's Benghazi. It's the IRS. They're seeing what happened in Iraq with ISIS forming a caliphate. Now they're seeing this massive invasion at the border. And they're saying to themselves, does he have America's best interests at heart? They're starting to wake up that we have a radical anti-American socialist in the White House. The enemy is not abroad. It's right here, residing in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Suzanne, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Or forgive me, Susan. Susan, hey. You're up next. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. That's fine. Any name will do. Just a couple of things. I had not read or heard Pat Buchanan's column. I'm going to read it in depth after just listening to you this morning, and I'm sure I agree 100%. But the one thing that I kept thinking of when I was listening to you is we are no longer one nation, one nation. We are no longer one nation. The key two words, under God. And that is in the Constitution. That is the backbone of America. And I think that is a very key thing. The other thing is, I'm going to use the phrase for the first time in my life, I am afraid that this is the setup for martial law. What do you think?
Nothing would surprise me. The only problem, Susan, that he has with that, and he knows it, is the military is overwhelmingly conservative.
But
now, he's been purging the generals. I understand that. He's been purging military commanders, firing generals. The problem is, let's say, just to be hypothetical, okay?
Sure.
Let's just conjecture for now. Let's say he wants to go for martial law. He sees he's losing the country. His revolution is being stalled. He wants martial law. The American troops will not fire on the American people. That's been his fundamental problem from the beginning. So what has he been doing?
But what about all of what we've been hearing over the past couple of years about, secretly about all the weapons that are being bought and distributed?
Yes, he wants his own secret police. He's using it through Homeland Security.
Yeah,
so he's trying to bypass the military. No, I know. What he's doing is he's destroying this country institution by institution. And Susan, notice what he's done. He has gutted the American military. He's making cuts. He's firing people. He's he's repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He's homosexualizing the military. Now he wants transvestites. I swear to you, he wants transvestites to openly serve in the military.
Right. So, and in the state of Massachusetts, time and time and time again, You know, they're trying to take the Second Amendment law away from us, piece by piece, state by state, and Deval Patrick is right there behind him because I think he's on the list to get a post in this martial law group of people.
Thank you for your call, Susan. Look, we know what he wants to do. The question is, can he do it? And this is the one institution that has been almost staunchly conservative from the beginning, has been the military. That's why he has to break the military, he has to gut the military, he has to homosexualize the military, and create his own private police force through Homeland Security. I don't think it's going to work. I think our traditions are just too strong. But is there any doubt now that if this guy, we didn't have the checks and balances that we have, if this was, let's say, a young republic in Latin America, you don't think this guy would have seized dictatorial power a long time ago? This lunatic in the White House? 617-266-6868. Jennifer, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Jeff, I live in Lynn, and I called my representative, McGee, yesterday, and the young intern who answered the phone, I asked her, what is he doing to help his constituent of Lynn, where he also resides, about the illegal immigration crisis. She said, oh, he loves the illegal immigrants, and he does a lot to help them. And I said, excuse me, what is he doing to help the taxpayers? And she started stuttering. She had no answer. She had no idea that Mayor Kennedy was on the news or on the radio show.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Jennifer, let me ask you this. What are the people of Lynn saying about this invasion that's now overrunning their city?
Even my liberal family members and my liberal friends are in shock over this. They want them just to be bussed back. We very happy with what we have, but there's just too much. And yesterday for the mayor to say, oh, she has a wonderful Guatemalan population, but they're still not paying taxes, as wonderful as they are. They're not paying taxes. They're still on welfare.
Well, and that's the thing, Jennifer, that really upsets me, is that it's the people of Lynn, like Cooksey, who has to pay property taxes. You're the ones that are going to pay for the whole thing.
I live in Lynn. The rat population is out of control. I have it. Luckily, I know this is minuscule, but it's
No, Jennifer, I swear to you. Jennifer, I swear to you.
4 or 5 dead rats in my yard.
Cooksey complains about the rat problem almost every day.
And my taxes are still going up.
I mean, so what? That's what Guatemala is coming here. We're just importing Guatemala. That's why you don't want to offend the Guatemalan community, because Guatemala is coming here.
But they're still on the government's dime. So as wonderful as they are, they're not paying taxes. They're not owning property unless it was given to them.
Thank you for that call, Jennifer. 617-266-6868, 652 here on the great WRKO. Brittany, let's take it to Rush Limbaugh. Welcome back to the Kuhner Report on the great WRKO. 7 o'clock, my friends. Coming up next, this is not a joke. There is now a movement for Chief Spreading Bull, Senator Elizabeth Warren, to run for the presidency in 2016. I've got that story next. First, let's take it to Angela Anderson in the newsroom.
News at the top and bottom, talk in between.
Yes, it is. Thank me very much. Go right ahead, my friend.
This is AM 680 WRKO, Boston.
7:06 here on the great WRKO and now on 93.7 HD2. 617-266-6868 if you want to be part of the show. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. Hour 2 of the Kuhner Report. This is incredible. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't know what to say. This is beyond bizarre. I'm watching this. I've been watching this now for the last month or so. Elizabeth Warren, Granny Warren, Chief Spreading Bull, has now become the champion of progressives all over the country. You now have national Democrats touting her as a serious presidential contender in 2016. And Brittany's asking through my headphones, said, well, Jeff, why? What has she done? I don't know. What has she done? I don't know. And she's like the talk of D.C. She's now become I swear, I'm not making this up, I swear to you, a, quote, Democratic rock star, unquote. This is how Democratic strategists are referring to Chief Spreading Bull. And so she's now engaged in a stealth presidential campaign. She's been touring. She's in West Virginia recently. She was in Kentucky. She's been doing other states campaigning for liberal Democrats, helping to raise the money. And now in today's Boston Globe, it's now come out that there's a new grassroots group, ReadyForWarren.com, which unveiled its website yesterday. There's now a new grassroots group that is hoping to draft Elizabeth Warren, Chief Spreading Bull, for a presidential run. I swear to you, they now want there's a draft Elizabeth Warren movement. They want the chief to go to D.C. and become the next president of the United States. I mean, I'm looking at this. I'm like, have you heard her? Have you heard one of her speeches? Have you ever seen her interviewed? And I think, my friends, what it reflects is this. Now, call me crazy. This is how desperate the Democrats are to find any kind of a viable candidate against Hillary Clinton. It shows that there's opposition to Clinton, even within the Democratic Party. They know she's weak. They know she's beatable. They know she's scandal-ridden. They know that Benghazi haunts her. It's like a specter, a ghost haunting her wherever she goes. And so they're now looking for someone to continue the Obama revolution. And so they look at Elizabeth Warren and they see her class warfare. They see her anti-capitalism. They see her championing of open borders, of amnesty, of welfare, of Obamacare, of redistribution of the wealth, and they see Obama 2.0. They see essentially Obama in suit pants. And they're thinking the twofer is they had the first black president under the dear leader. Now we could potentially have the first Indian president, the first Native American Indian, the first Cherokee to ever occupy the Oval Office. You want to talk about addressing historical wrongs? I mean, first you go with an African American, you address slavery and Jim Crow, and then boom, all the supposed mistreatment of Indians could be taken away in one shot with Chief Spreading Bull. An actual chief in the White House. And so you can see these progressives, I swear to you, they're getting they're getting all hot and bothered over this. They think this is going to be, I swear to you, they think this is going to be 2008 all over again. What they're saying is, this is the new Obama. This is the new hope and change. Except now, we won't get the first black president, we get the first chief. The first Native American, and a woman. It's everything. It's a twofer. You get the whole shebang. There's only a couple of problems. And I think the moment she becomes more high profile, the more she gets media attention. I mean, her balloon is going to fizzle fast. It's going to sink to the earth fast. Burst. Her balloon is going to burst. Pop. And for a couple of reasons. Number one, she's got no foreign policy experience whatsoever. I mean, nothing. Nothing. We don't even know where she stands on foreign policy issues. I don't even think she could find Iraq on a map. Maybe she could find the Cherokee Indian Reservation in Oklahoma on a map. No, even that she couldn't find. So let that go. She couldn't even find Indian reservations here on a map. Never mind Iraq or Afghanistan. So that's a huge problem. And believe me, the Clintons are going to exploit it. And God forbid, if she actually becomes the candidate in 2016 for the Democrats, whoever the Republicans run, they're going to run drive a Mack truck through the hole in her foreign policy resume. But then you've got other problems. She is a radical redistributionist left-winger. And what I find remarkable about her, to me, honestly, just what I just find incredible, is it's the same record with her over and over. She's like a broken record. It's the same tape. She even uses, it's the same speech, regurgitated. It doesn't matter if it's in West Virginia, if it's in Kentucky, if it's in Washington, if it's in Boston, if it's in California. It's the same speech with the same words. Notice how many times she uses the word hammered. The middle class is being hammered. And you can see it's because, as Joe Battenfeld points out, and he's got a superb column in today's Boston Herald, as Joe points out in his column, it's because some consultant told her, hammered sounds good. Hammered sounds powerful. Hammered sounds cool. Say the word hammered. Just keep saying hammered. So on every, doesn't matter. Middle class is being hammered. It doesn't matter what the issue is. Hammered, hammered, hammered. That's all you keep, hammered. But when you see her being interviewed, she cannot handle one tough question. Look how awkward she is. Look how she dodges questions. Look how she freezes up. Are you kidding me? This has been a beneficiary of affirmative action her entire life. Now, maybe this kind of a fraud can play well with the moonbats in this state and the corrupt Democrats in this state who have no standards, none, when it comes to electing officials. But you try to sell that to the country, and in particular, mark my words, there aren't many Native American groups here in Massachusetts, and that's a shame. But there are in America, in the rest of the country. There are in Texas, and there are in Oklahoma, and there are in Colorado, and there are in Wyoming, and there are in the Dakotas. And they're going to come out and they're going to go on national television and they're going to state the obvious. We were used. We were exploited. This woman had the gall to claim that her great-great-great-grandmother maybe was a Cherokee Indian. Maybe, according to family folklore. Look at the high cheekbones. That's how I knew. And she used that to get a minority position, a so-called minority position at Harvard University, to teach one class, not two, not three, one class for $350,000 a year. That shyster, you fraud, you. And then you run around claiming to be a champion of the 99% against the 1%. When you're worth more, north of $14 million, you have a $1.7 million mansion that you live in Cambridge. When she and her brother were house flipping, going around looking for houses where people got divorced, fire sales, buy low, sell high, where she worked for all the insurance companies, shilling for them. And then she defended corporate America when it suited her self-interest. And now she claims to be the enemy of corporate America. She's even worse than Jean-Francois Pepe Le Pew. I voted for it before I voted against it. With the salute, the guy who spit on American soldiers then shows up at the Democratic Convention in 2004 in his uniform. I'm ready for duty. Oh, they're your medals. I thought you threw out your medals, Pepe. Suddenly there are your medals. She's even worse than Pepe. Now, Joe Battenfeld warns us, and this is going to kill her, by the way, because she's a liar. See, that's the other problem with her. She can't stop lying. So in every speech that Chief Spreading Bull does, she mentions the fact that to support her family, she had to babysit. And in particular, she had to babysit a child, a neighbor. But it can't just be any child. You see, with these progressives, they have to pile on the compassion. Just pile it on and pile the BS. They have to pile on the BS till it's sky high. And so it was a colicky kid. It's a child with colic. Sick kid, very sick kid. And she did it for 35 cents an hour. according to Chief Spreading Bull. Not even $1 an hour. You see, the illegals, they work for $5-6 an hour. Not Chief Spreading Bull. She worked for less than $1. She worked for less than 50 cents an hour. She worked for 35 cents an hour to support her family. Poppycock. BS. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Just like I don't believe you're a Cherokee Indian. I don't believe you. You're a liar. Okay, I'm telling Chief Spreading Bull, I know your aides listen to this show. You're a liar. And so she keeps repeating that in story after story, speech after speech, 35 cents an hour for her colicky kid's neighbor. And the media is going to do an investigation, and they're going to find out she's lying. And by the time everything is said and done, Chief Spreading Bull is going to go back to where she belongs, which is to be a nothing senator, a third-rate senator from the People's Republic of Massachusetts. That's what the Democrats are going to realize. They have a major dud on their hands. And the one clip that any Republican has to play, he just got to play one clip. If she happens to be the Democratic nominee, just loop it and loop it and loop it. Is her outrageous, ridiculous comment that if you own a business, if you're an entrepreneur, you didn't build the business that you have. You didn't build that. Roll it, Brittany.
I hear all this, well, this is class warfare, this is whatever. No, there is nobody in this country who got rich on his own. Nobody. You built a factory out there, good for you, but I want to be clear. You moved your goods to market on the roads the rest of us paid for. Yep. You hired workers the rest of us paid to educate. You were safe in your factory because of police forces and fire forces that the rest of us paid for. You didn't have to worry that marauding bands would come and seize everything at your factory and hire someone to protect against this because of the work the rest of us did. Now look, you built a factory and it turned into something terrific or a great idea. God bless. Keep a big hunk of it. But part of the underlying social contract is you take a hunk of that and pay forward for the next kid who comes along.
No, Chief. You didn't build that teepee. You didn't build that, Chief. 617-266-6868. Let me ask all of you this, Kuhner country. Draft Elizabeth Warren in 2016. Do you think Chief Spreading Bull can win the Democratic nomination? And should she be the standard bearer for the Democratic Party? President Elizabeth Warren, good or bad for America? $7:25 here on the Great WRKO. John, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on the Kuhner Report.
Good morning, Mr. Kuhner. How are you today?
I'm really good. How are you, John?
Very well, thank you. Very well. To Elizabeth Warren, I pay it forward every single day. I tip well. I spend money in the economy. I produce jobs for people. I save jobs for people. I bring justice to people. That's paying it forward. She's such a fool. She's the best thing that ever happened to liberalism being outed. And I am so looking forward to next year when the Hillary Clinton people shred her to pieces. This will be a short-lived thing because she's stupid enough to think that she can get the nomination. And she's putting herself out there, and she's subjecting herself. And just because they're going to have to get her out of the way, they are going to expose her for the fraud that she is.
Amen, brother. From your lips to God's ears. 617-266-6868. You see, the Clintons are going to do what the model Scott Brown was afraid to do. Russ, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Jeff, I'm glad you're back from vacation.
Oh, thanks so much, Russ. It's great to be back.
Okay. They're the Democrats go again, scraping the bottom of the barrel for a candidate. And let us not forget that Jimmy Carter gave us Ronald Reagan. So, in my opinion, 2 anti-American radical frauds in a row, not going to happen.
Thank you for that call, Russ. Wayne, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Go.
Hey, Jeff, I'm going to do a little fortune telling here. Imagine sitting down with your Pringles and your Diet Coke in October of 2016, seeing Elizabeth Warren in a debate with Trey Gowdy.
Oh, my God.
I would kill. Hey, can I say
They would arrest him. No, honestly, they would arrest him for woman battery, for beating a woman.
Oh, my God. Can I say something real quick about immigration?
Yeah, go ahead, shoot.
When all the dust settles, like with every scandal, Benghazi, and what's happening with the IRS, do you think any truth will ever come out? Whenever I hear about people from these third world hellholes coming up with $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, do you think it will ever go back to the White House, this administration having anything to do with directly or indirectly funding their journeys?
Wayne, that's a great question. There are stories in Central America where they're saying that the federal government, our government, has been spending money there to recruit people to come up here. Now, those are Central American newspapers. I don't know how credible they are. But at least in Latin America, the word's getting out. So, no, look, this is deliberate. This is concocted. This has been premeditated. He has to flood this country in any way, shape, or form to keep him and the Democrats in power. It's obvious. Look, in January, they were already looking to hire so-called escorters, people that could escort children. Why? Escort children around the country, the children of illegal immigrants. Why? They knew this flood was coming. They were preparing for it. That tells you everything you need to know. 617-266-6868. Who do you want me to go to next? Kevin, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Go ahead.
I would hope so, Jeff. Jeff, I know it's my daily therapy to get a bit of the Kuhner report, and there's no one, absolutely no one on the face of the planet I put my time aside as I do for the Kuhner report.
Oh, thank you, Kevin.
And on this segment, you had caller John. I want to apologize for last Friday. He's so astute, working in his field of business, in the insurance field, to that foxy lady that was on, try to outfox him and was so rude to him last Friday. I believe it was Friday, not Thursday. But let that go. Here it is. Jeff, I'm surprised at you. Very surprised. You didn't see this coming with Elizabeth Warren, the artificial Indian. I knew it 2 years ago. And prior, as she was running for that Senate seat, I did everything in my manly power to try to stop this machine because she is so aggressive. We have Ed Malaki. I mean, the guy with John Forbes Kerry couldn't light up a 2-watt LED light bulb. All right, we know. But Elizabeth Warren, she is dangerous just because of her aggressiveness, and what's going to bring her down, not so much of the claims of the Cherokee, is the hypocrisy. Why are school loans, or tuitions up to the rate? Right there, punctuated, personified, as you had said, one class. She didn't put in 10 hours a week. And from what I understand from insiders at Harvard Law, they still have her on retainer. And I'm not sure if that violates her ethics codes of the Senate. I'm sure it does. But these people, last month, I passed the line. I couldn't believe it. It went up and around Harvard Square. The Fighting Chance. She was introducing her book there in Cambridge. And I walked by. I said, this isn't the line for the artificial Indian. And you wouldn't believe these people.
Oh, I know. Kevin, the Moonbats love her. They love her. 617-266-6868. 7:31 here on the great WRKO. Let's take it to Angela in the newsroom. 7:38 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. My friends, we're going to get right back to the Elizabeth Warren discussion. But first, We're joined by State Representative Jeff Deal. He's going to be talking to us about a very important development in the gas tax. Representative Deal, thank you so much for coming on the Kuhner Report.
Jeff, thanks for having me on. And listen, before I get to that, and that it is important, I want to let people know tomorrow, Thursday at noon at the State House, we're going to have a press conference on the front steps of the State House. Everybody's invited. We're going to be listing dozens of basically items of mismanagement of taxpayer money that total over $2 billion. We're going to list it all out there, and we want people to show up because we want them to know what the State House is doing, what the legislature's done to waste their money. We've got Crime Lab scandal, $332 million, welfare fraud, $200 million, the Connector website, $500 million, people who, the MBTA, designed renovations, $11 million wasted. The governor's $9 million office. Basically, there's a huge list. I've got tons to read from, and tomorrow we'll announce all that. But yes, today, unfortunately, we're finding out from the Inspector General that there's more things going on at Mass DOT, and you've been so helpful with the gas tax effort to repeal the indexing of the gas tax to inflation and the signature drive we have. Now people have to know why we're doing this repeal effort, and that's because there's misuse of dollars at the Mass DOT. We already found out that they were directing their employees to work against this campaign. Now we're finding out that federal money that's supposed to be used by them is being mismanaged to the tune of $3.4 million of federal dollars. So this is just unbelievable, and I just have to real quickly tell you what it's about. They're supposed to have bought alternative fuel vehicles. They bought 100 of them, and they were supposed to take their old cars off the roads. They never did, and so now we're finding out that 140 Mass DOT employees have state cars, many of whom, it's been reported by the IG, don't respond to off-duty emergencies like they're supposed to. 150 state cars don't have valid inspections. And the other thing is, there was these loaded 2014 Ford Explorers that were supposed to be given to state police. They're being driven by the senior MBTA executives, and they've been equipped with a state police package, which is $15,000 above what the regular price of the car is. And yet they have no state plates or Mass DOT logos on them. So, again, the IG says it opens the door to abuse, and this is a matter of using funds that they have wisely, and he's finding that it's not happening. So, this is where your money's going, that what they try to say is roads and bridges crumbling. But the fact of the matter is it's to continue to, pay for, overpriced executives. We know that they're making an average of over $100,000, all these executives now. Now they've got these cars they're not supposed to be having, and I'm sure the gas is being paid for by us.
I mean, Representative Deal, I'm staring at a story now from Team 5, a Team 5 investigation, Channel 5. And these are $100,000 a year plus senior managers at Mass Department of Transportation. And the Team 5 people walk in, they bought 6 SUVs, Ford Explorers, $34,000 a pop, loaded. They're supposed to be for state police. They've got lights, they've got sirens, they've got the full police package, and they're being used by the senior managers. They're in the state transportation building. They're sitting there being driven by senior managers at MassDOT. So the police don't have them. The senior managers are using them. So that's money being stolen and siphoned. You mentioned the $3.4 million on the alternative fuels. Then apparently, according to Team 5, check this out, they now have found MassDOT employees are parking their state cars at meters all day at their headquarters in Boston without paying a dime. Not a dime. So you're taking away precious parking spots from the public and, of course, much-needed revenue from the city. I mean, the whole thing is a massive boondoggle.
Yeah, and this is all coming at the taxpayer's expense, and this is why everybody who works so hard to get those signatures to repeal this needs to know this, and everybody else who doesn't know has to know, because the other thing is the companies that make tons of money off these big fat contracts, they've dedicated $3 million to fight our ballot initiative with PAC money, and we've already seen the first thing come out, which is a poll. They did a push poll, which means they're basically not really asking people questions. They're trying to tell you things through this polling. And what they're telling people is there was 14 deaths on the road next year. If this repeal passes, there's going to be more deaths. I mean, it's insulting to know what they're saying. You know, they're basically holding us hostage and trying to frighten people into making sure that they don't repeal this effort because, they want that money to keep rolling in and they don't want to be questioned. We know best for what's for you. We're going to take your money. We're going to automatically increase your gas tax every year without a vote by the legislature. Just, don't question it or else, we're going to do everything we can. And in the meantime, we find out behind the scenes, this is what's happening with your dollars, and federal dollars too. And one other thing. The state budget just passed a few weeks ago. Now it's in conference committee. It'll be coming back. They took out the requirement for the MBTA pension fund to be made public so that we would know where that money's going. The House and Senate voted. I didn't, but the House and Senate voted to approve that. And that's just another thing. They don't want you to know where their money's going. And we know that these huge pensions, are going out there. And that's what they don't want people to be aware of because they just want you to scare you into thinking that they need this gas tax increase every year.
Representative Deal. So what can people do now to express their disapproval and their opposition to all of their tax money being stolen and siphoned off by these crooks at the Massachusetts Department of Transportation?
Well, listen, whoever's driving, please don't do it right now. Don't text on your phone or anything like that. Wait till you get to the office or at home or something like that. But please go to the website, tankthegastax.org. There's a place that you can sign up there to get a lawn sign, get bumper stickers, or if you have a few bucks, you can donate because we need every bit of resources to fight this the mismanagement, the corruption that's going on, and so you can go there. The other thing is show up at the State House tomorrow. It's at noon, right on the front steps, and like I said, we're going to itemize a list of over $2 billion worth of waste and fraud, and this is just, we're going to have to add this to the list because we just found this one out from the IG, but this is
$2 billion in waste and fraud.
Waste and fraud every year. This isn't just one. Every year we're seeing waste and fraud at this magnitude of a $36 billion budget. So that's a huge percentage of what, between 5 and 6% of our budget is being wasted. And people need to know. People have to know this. So please go to tankthegastax.org. Keep listening to the Kuhner Report because you obviously are on top of this. Thank God you're back from vacation. And and please just come out and support candidates who also are against the way things are being done on Beacon Hill. That's the other key thing for November. Representative
Deal, if you don't mind me asking a personal question, do you drive a 2014 Ford Explorer? Are you an SUV guy? Do you have a nice fully loaded SUV?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Because I swear, I'm staring at a picture. I'm at the Channel 5 page. That's a beautiful car. Yeah, sure. 35,000, fully loaded. And these department is supposed to go to the police for security on the roads. These senior managers, that's a nice package. You have $100,000 a year salary, cushy job. You don't work too hard. You drive one of these all day. That's pretty nice.
Do you think they're paying for their gas, too?
Oh, they're not even paying for their gas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't take a per diem. I don't get my gas reimbursed for driving to and from work. People don't, when I was in the workforce, people didn't do that for me. So I'm not taking that per diem like other legislators do, who then voted for this gas tax increase and never have to feel it. But that's what's going on. The people who work for the state, it's a beautiful life. Free car, free gas. I mean, huge salaries. As long as you're a friend of the governor or some legislator, you've got it made in this state.
Representative Deal, before I let you go, you think you can pull some strings and get me into MassDOT? Get me in as a senior manager?
You want to be their communications?
I can, whatever they want me to do. I mean, I could go for one of these Ford Explorers and $100K a year.
Maybe a Cadillac Escalade for you. I don't know. Something that really fits your personality.
We have been talking with State Representative Jeff Deal, one of the good guys on Beacon Hill. Please go to that event tomorrow. It's at noon at the steps of the State House. Representative Deal will be there. Others will be there. Representative Deal, keep up the good fight.
Thanks, Jeff. Take care.
God bless you, sir.
Bye.
617-266-6868. And just look how they're stealing your money. I mean, they're not even hiding that they're stealing your money. They're that brazen and arrogant. So now, and that's what Chief Spreading Bull defends. That's what Elizabeth Warren defends. You see, take more of your money to give to deadbeats and government bureaucrats. So everybody can drive a Ford Explorer, except us, the peasants. Enrique, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome, Enrique.
Hey, Jeff, how are you this morning?
I am really good. How are you, Enrique?
All right. Hey, it would be very interesting to see a debate between those three fake candidates for president. The fake Indian, the fake loyal and happy wife, Hillary Clinton, which we know she did it only for political purposes. She stood with the men. And the fake serious vice president who is a clown. That will be a very interesting debate, don't you think?
So, Enrique, bring out the popcorn and the Diet Coke. I mean, honestly, you couldn't pay for that kind of entertainment. 617-266-6868. Bruce, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Go ahead, Bruce.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, Bruce.
Hey, speaking of waste and fraud, that kind of describes the insolent Indian right to a T, doesn't it?
Well, I think she drives something a little bit more upscale than a Ford SUV. That's for the apparatchiks.
My prediction with her, I hope she spends all kinds of money and loses everything. But if she does get elected, she's probably going to have Bo Berthold be Secretary of Defense.
No, I think she's a Mercedes-Benz kind of a woman. But she also, don't forget though, she has the teepee in the backyard and the canoe. She has to have that little canoe when she puts on her headgear, the chief headgear, when she goes canoeing once a year in solidarity with her Cherokee ancestors. 617-266-6868, 750 on the great WRKO. 756 here on the great WRKO. There is now, I kid you not, a draft Elizabeth Warren for president movement. There's a grassroots movement. It's spreading like wildfire here in the People's Republic of Massachusetts. President Warren, good or bad? 617-266-6868 is the number. Damon, you're up next. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Thanks, Jeff. I live in Louisville, Kentucky, Jeff. I listen to you on TalkStream Live. I think you're one of the best guys on the radio. You're up there with Savage, in my opinion.
Oh, thank you, Damon.
You're welcome. And everybody here knows that's got a brain at least and paying attention to politics that Elizabeth Warren's a joke. But let that go. What I want to do, Jeff, is respond to the lady that talked with you at the end of the last hour about martial law.
Yes.
And, okay, here's how Obama's going to do it. There was a story on Dr. Savage's website last year about this time, and I was like, what? This is crazy. It can't be. And it said Napolitano brings in 15,000 Russian troops. And I was like, what? That's not right. So I looked into it, and I went to factcheck.org to see what they said about it, and they, quote, debunked it, unquote. And if you read the whole story on factcheck.org, it's got links to StateDepartment.gov's website where they've explained that these aren't Russian troops, Jeff. They're, and this is, I'm quoting StateDepartment.gov, and this is why we're not doing Obama's not doing anything in the Ukraine. Obama has a bilateral commission with 20 different working groups, and it's a U.S.-Russia bilateral. It's right there on the StateDepartment.gov. And what these Russian troops actually are, they call them emergency management personnel and space threat experts. And some websites said that there was even maybe up to 150,000 of them, not 15,000 of them. And that's how he's going to not worry about American troops firing on American citizens. We've got... Oh, you're saying so they're doing sort of joint training exercises? Is that what you're saying, Damon? Yeah, they've been doing them all over Fairfax County, Virginia, and all kinds of different places in the U.S. There's 20 different working groups on everything from emergency management, military, food, all kinds of... I mean, there's 20 of them. It shows a big old logo and everything of the Presidential Bilateral Commission right there on StateDepartment.gov. Incredible. So we have basically foreign troops conducting joint exercises with our troops here in the United States. I think that Greenbrier Hotel could be stuffed with thousands of them right now.
Thank you for that call, Damon. 617-266-6868. Who do you want me to go to next, Brittany? Tom, you're up next. I got about a minute. Go, my friend.
Jeff. I talked to the model last night and asked him what he thought about Elizabeth Warren running for president, you know?
And what did he say?
He said, he gave me this answer. He wishes her well. He's running his own campaign. He's so worried about going down the tubes there with June Sheehan up there. Hey, ask you a question, Jeff.
Sure.
He was on the airwaves all day yesterday. How come he wasn't on your show?
The model doesn't like it when I criticize him. The model is very sensitive when you criticize him. He's got a very thin skin. And also, Tom, I think he's upset because he left Rentham just as I began to move into Rentham. And so he doesn't see me as his kind of people. So when I announced that my wife and I and the kids were going to move to Rentham, suddenly he puts his house up for sale and he leaves.
Ask your question, Jeff. What's the chance of you and Howie leave the draft movement here for Elizabeth Warren? Any chance of that or what?
You know, I want to talk it over with Howie. You know what? Maybe I think America is ready for its first Cherokee Indian. We need a chief in the White House. 617-266-6868. 8 o'clock on the great WRKO. Let's take it to Angela Anderson in the newsroom.
Top and bottom. Talk in between.
Yes, it is. Thank me very much. Go right ahead, my friend.
This is AM 680 WRKO, Boston.